Welcome, one and all, to season one, episode one of our podcast, the Dreaming in Color podcast. I am your host, Tahirah Banks Webster.
And I'm your co-host, Gino Webster.
We are partners in life and in love, and together we own a technology marketing agency, Thoughtful, and some other companies too, just a few others. We have spent the past 10 years building our business from $0, 0 cents to millions in revenue and working with some of the world's most impactful brands in the process. So we started this podcast because we are on a mission to create a future where anybody, regardless of their background, can not only pursue their boldest dreams, but they can access everything they need to make those dreams a reality. Specifically, people who look like us and come from where it is we come from. So this podcast it's a community, and it's for people who are eager to trade a black and white life for one that is colorful and bold and beautiful and exciting. You ready, Gino?
Ready.
Ready. Okay, so I'm going to just make a disclaimer. We said we were going to make this disclaimer.
Yes.
I'm not going to be calling you Gino for these podcasts. So just Gino and I, we're not only business partners, we're in love. I love you. Okay. He's like, what? We didn't. This was not a part of the script. No, but we're in a relationship, and we're married, and we're life partners, and because of that, we call each other babes. I don't call him Gino unless I'm angry with him.
Yeah.
And he doesn't call me Tahirah. If he calls me Tahirah, I know that is a problem. So I'm gonna be calling. I'll reference him as babes from time to time, and he'll probably reference me as babes. So you ready, babes?
Ready, babes. Yeah. Let's go.
We got you. Let's go. All right. So, episode one, we chose an interesting topic for episode one, but I think we thought it was fitting, right? Am I going crazy? Chasing a dream no one believes in. And it was important that we started, if we were doing a podcast, which we have talked about for how many years now? 4 years, 5 years?
Yeah, 4 or 5.
4 or 5 years. I think we even bought like some mics before, and we tried to do something back when we were in our office in Anguilla, but I think this is the first.
I think it's a lot more than that, because I think we started out with something called the Cultured Geeks. It was just like a concept, but we never pursued it.
But that was
it was more than 5 years ago, actually.
Yeah, it was more than 5 years, but we've always wanted to share our story. I don't think that time was the time to share our story. I think that we were very much still in the very early growth phases, or the very early growth phase, and now feels right because we have seen some success over the years. So now feels like, we have something of note, of value to share, and though we have further to go, it's open now. It's good now to bring people on the journey. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. So we chose this podcast title for today, for our very first one. Am I going crazy? Chasing a dream no one believes in. And I can speak for myself, but I can also in some ways speak for you, that I think sometimes you have yourself felt like you're going crazy, like
all
just
the time, right now.
Yeah. With this thing we're working towards, just like, and our goal is to transform our communities through technology, and it's a big dream because it's a big dream, and so because of that, it sometimes feels impossible.
Yep.
You sometimes come into situations that make you say, but am I going crazy? Chasing the dream no one believes in. And I think that anybody who has ever dreamed, anybody who has ever wanted to go after something, and it doesn't have to be a dream like changing the world. It could be just doing something that is unconventional, and changing their home or changing their community. If it hasn't been done before, there are times when you feel crazy chasing your dream. All right. So that's season one, episode one. Am I going crazy? Chasing a dream no one believes in. We said we'd start this off, Gino, by defining what is a big dream. So when you think big dream, what comes to mind?
I think impact, right? So if I'm dreaming big, I want to ensure that whatever it is, whatever problem I'm trying to solve, it impacts a lot of people. And that's why like I'm so passionate about tech, because I know that one day we'll create something that impacts millions of people.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we've done work that impacts like tens of thousands, and in some
Yeah,
cases hundreds of
that's nice.
thousands, maybe low millions, but I know what you mean. You're talking about
Yeah,
something that just completely transforms the lives of
correct.
just millions and millions of people, yeah. And when I hear big dream, to be honest, it's the opposite. It doesn't have to transform the lives of millions of people. It could transform your life. It could transform the life of your family, the life of, a few people in your community, the life of one person.
One
It's
person,
just a
right?
dream. Yeah, it's just a dream that is not conventional. It's not black and white. It's not something that is scripted or that you can literally check a couple boxes and
Right.
it's fulfilled.
People
It's
should look at
something,
you like you're crazy, right?
yeah, like, yeah, if people don't like question you, I'm not sure that is really like a big dream, because
No.
a lot of and that could be doing something that others may see as conventional, but that is unconventional for you, you know
Right.
and that and in that moment people may look at you like, can you do that? But yeah,
Right.
am I going crazy chasing a dream no one believes in? A big dream, as we've defined it, is when you're chasing a goal or a mission or some vision that is uncommon or it is outside of the norm, and it challenges convention. It challenges maybe how people have traditionally done things,
Status
and
quo.
your point has always been impact, that it
Mhm.
impacts the lives of people,
In a
and
positive way, extremely positive way.
in a positive way. And you're talking Malcolm, Martin,
Steve
Steve
Jobs.
Jobs.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's your gut. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Bet. So we've defined what we mean when we say big dream. It could impact the lives of millions. It could impact your life, that of your family, that of your mom, your children, your friends. But it's something that is unconventional and that is fresh to you. And it doesn't have to be something that makes you millions and millions of dollars. And it doesn't have to be something that like we said, changes the lives of the entire world. But it's about doing something that is unique to you and that challenges you. So that's what we're talking about in today's episode. All right, let's go into it. Why don't we dream big? Why don't we dream big?
Up until now, to be honest with you, I didn't know it was possible to dream big. It's
Up until
sad. I
when?
know. Like since I've changed my mindset,
Okay.
I've done a
Like,
lot
so
of
in the
work
past like 10,
to
12 years.
to think differently, right? And so
Mhm.
before that, it just wasn't common. Like growing up, my community and what's not. Those weren't conversations you were having at a dinner table. Hi, what's your dream? Hey, what's your big dream? What do you want to do? Like,
Mhm.
nah, I didn't know.
Yeah. So you feel like one of the reasons why people don't dream big is because it's not a part of the conversation.
It's not in their cognizance. Like they're not conscious of it, right? So because it's not there, is they're not surrounded by that type of energy. It could be easy to miss.
Yeah, yeah. And if a lot of what you talk about or what you hear is black and white, it's
Yep.
it's hard to think of something more colorful, something more uh off brand, something outside
Correct.
of the box, if you are really being taught the box. Which, if we're
Mhm.
fair, a lot of our education systems, particularly coming from the Caribbean, they teach us to think inside the box. They
Hey,
they
careful,
promote the
careful.
box. I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, we know it. We're
Yeah,
adults now, so
yeah,
we can say it is the
yeah.
box.
It
It's
it is
it's
the box.
and it's no knock to the education system at all. It's just the reality that it a lot of what we learn as children growing up is very much in a box.
Yeah. Yes, because I was what I knew was that okay, you have to be a good little boy and grow up to be a decent human being, get good grades, don't get into any trouble. That's it. All right. So okay, that's a plan. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fair. And I'll put the caveat here that I also believe that you and I spoke about this,
Mm,
that we have the freedom to dream a bigger dream than our parents had the freedom to
correct.
dream, because they were living a very different life. They had very different circumstances. So they taught us what they knew. They taught us what made sense for them at that time and what worked for them, and truthfully what has allowed us or empowered us to dream the dreams that we have. And I
Right.
think that should be the goal of every generation, to ensure that the people who come after you, right, your children or whoever, they and your grandchildren, that they get to dream a dream that is bigger than the one that you have dreamed, that
Correct.
they can conceive a future in their mind that is grander than the future that you had. And so I think it's important to say that, because it's certainly not a knock to our parents. I mean, we are who we are because of our upbringing, right? And
Hmm.
so they did what they knew to do, and because of what they taught us, it has empowered us to dream bigger
Right.
dreams.
So the other day I saw something where this guy was being interviewed and
Mhm,
the interviewer asked him, he said, hey, like what is a piece of advice that, something is really impactful that you can leave for young people? He said,
mhm,
do it for the name on your back, right? Do it for, in our case, our children, the
mhm,
Websters, right?
mhm.
And he said, you want to plant the seed from now so that they have the opportunity to live, be, or exist in the shade of that tree, right? And
That's
so
awesome.
I think as a like going back to what you said about the parents, that is they didn't they couldn't they did not experience what we're experiencing now. So it is
Mhm.
our duty to pay it forward.
Yeah, yeah. And so like it's no knock to them, it's just is what it is. They couldn't You can't really teach what you don't know or what you haven't necessarily experienced. And so it is our responsibility. It is each generation's responsibility to go out there and to find a bigger dream to dream. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. And I guess the challenge, and we'll get to that, is about the generations before, not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily knocking those G's, but we'll get to that. It's about having this perspective that the next generation should dream a bigger dream than your dream,
Right.
right? And but we'll get to that. Yeah. So I would say personally that was not my experience. My experience was not that I did not know to dream big or have that in my mind. Like, as long as I've remembered myself, I have dreamed of a life beyond the one that I had. And so I've always lived in my dreams, I've always lived in my mind, and I've always wanted more for myself, particularly more than what I grew up seeing in Anguilla. But I think one of the reasons why people don't dream big, if I can be just frank, is that people are afraid to dream big, because you when you dream big, people look at you like you're crazy, and you in some ways you risk embarrassment. In a lot of ways you risk embarrassment, and nobody goes into anything like, yeah, I want to be embarrassed, I want to be ashamed, I want to fail, I want to lose. Like, people, I
Is that
believe a
something
lot.
that you've ever experienced? Like, I
Well,
mean,
well, yeah. I So when I was in sixth grade, grade six, depending on how you say, class six, we used to say. When I was in class six, grade six, teacher Colin was my teacher, an excellent teacher,
that
just
was
stand up
massive.
guy. What you say? I don't have a massive.
I'm not in your house, but you know,
Oh my God. Let's not even
yeah,
go
the
to
house
that host
massive.
nonsense. But yeah, teacher Colin was my teacher. And I remember he had us go around the class, and he was asking everyone, what do you want to be when you get older? And when he came to me, now those times I used to go to Houston to visit my aunt Callan and my brother Olidi. And
Mhm.
so when he asked what you want to be, when I would be in Houston, I would be looking at Emerald on the Food Network. Anybody that knows Emerald, he'd be cooking on TV and he'd be talking and doing all that. And I wanted to be like Emerald. I wanted to be a chef, and I would imagine myself, even when I would be home cooking, I'd imagine myself speaking to a studio audience. So I had looked all of this up, and
Mhm.
well, not looked it up. There wasn't internet, but I had asked enough questions, right? And
Mhm.
so when he came to me in the class, he was like, I was like, well, everyone said what they want to do, and of course there were a lot of conventional answers, and when he came to me, I said, well, I'm going to be a chef, and I'll be attending the New York School of Culinary Arts. And I felt smart saying that. I felt big saying that. And and everybody laughed. Like not the whole class, but most of the class laughed. And I felt very stupid. I was 11 years old, and I distinctly remember that afternoon, because teacher Colin, he kept the whole class back, and he lectured the class on why it was not cool to laugh at someone's dream, which this is why I say I respect him to this day, because I don't know how I would have perceived myself in my dreams if he did not use that moment to say, hey, that's not cool. I may have very well been like, you know what? Well, that's it for dreams,
Would
right? But
would you
he
say
didn't.
you would you say you've achieved that dream?
I'm not a chef, but I could. What you on here trying to say?
I Not trying to say anything.
You're not sure?
Not trying to
Okay,
say
all right.
anything.
Well, I changed my dream shortly thereafter, but the point is, like, he lectured the class, and coming out of that experience, I just felt like I felt stupid. Like, I felt very dumb for sharing my dream, and what I learned, what I took away from that moment was, yep, we don't tell people what we want to do. Like, I just hold
Nope.
that. I'm gonna just hold that to my chest,
Mhm.
and I have lived every day of my life since then with that philosophy that y'all not gonna laugh at me in class 6 when I say what my dream is. I'm gonna just get to it and do it.
Yep.
So that is for me personally why I think a lot of people do not chase big dreams, because of the risk of failure. And not because if you could fail and nobody knew you failed and you could just get up and try again, nobody would be afraid to fail, right?
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
the embarrassment that's associated
Right.
with
Is
failure.
that
It is
fear you
the
were talking about earlier?
Was
Stepping
that?
out. It's a fear you were talking about earlier. The fear of
Yeah.
dreaming big and then the fear of actually taking that first step to make it happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, nobody wants to look like a fool. And so why dream big if it is that I may very well fail, I may fall short, and no, everybody's laughing at me. So yeah, I mean, and we spoke about this as well. I think the downside of the fact that not only people don't dream big because they fear failure, the flip side of that is that there are a lot of people who have big dreams deep within them and who want to go after those dreams, but because, and maybe they're subtly doing it, but because they are afraid of failure, they are afraid to share those dreams. And so they're missing out on the opportunity to be a part of a community of people who also share those dreams, to connect with people.
Mhm.
So for me, because I'm holding my stuff tight to my chest, I may miss an opportunity to talk to someone who does have a big dream, who maybe needs someone to say, yo, you got that. And so yeah, I think that is the downside of holding on to your dream. But that's one of the reasons why people don't dream big, because they don't want to look stupid. They don't want to get laughed at by their peers, like I got laughed at in class 6. But it's all good.
And like, granted, those weren't conversations I was having when I was younger. I
Mhm.
now understand like how detrimental that is. Just not hearing that, because for you not sharing your dream, and what that does for other people is you someone misses out on an opportunity to do something really good to change their lives, just because that's how it works. Like, you tell your story, you inspire someone else, and it's like a domino effect.
Yeah. 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 So everyone is kind of playing small
Right.
because they're afraid of falling if they get too big.
And you
Yeah.
have to be in a safe space. You have to feel like you're in a safe space. You got to find your tribe or your community, uh, people who also share that vision or have who have dreams of their own, right? And that are constantly pursuing them.
Yeah. Because a lot of people will very much try to steer you to black and white. So when you have a colorful dream, when you have a big dream, people are going to try, people are going to attempt to steer you to black and white. That's just natural. And we spoke about that. They do it, they give advice. They give us advice when we're when we're chasing our big dreams,
Mm,
and some of that advice tends to be quite interesting. So my question to you, Gino, like, what is some of the advice that you perhaps have received, interesting advice that you've received, since this year is 10 years since we've been in business together, right? So
yeah, fitting.
yeah.
Right. So I'm not going to go into everything, but one thing that always stays with me, right? It's like it's right here.
Mhm.
It's that what was it? I was told, oh, right. You need to go to college. Why are you starting a business? Um, right, you're wasting your potential. So just boom, 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 boom. I was like, oh, okay, cool. All right, take it
Mhm.
easy, relax, relax. I know what I'm doing. So that was it. It was like, why don't you go to college? You're a smart boy. You need to go to college. Why are you starting a business? And what was that last thing? Yeah, your potential. You're wasting your potential. And that was somebody really close to me who told me that. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I get it. I understand. I respect your opinion, but I know what it is I want for my life.
But do you believe, playing devil's advocate, do you believe that that advice was wrong, like that perhaps you should have maybe got, do you feel like your life would have been very different right now in a more positive way if you had gone to college as opposed to started this business?
No. I didn't go because I did obviously I didn't have the money to. I didn't have the money to
Right.
go. That was the only reason why I didn't
Mhm.
do it. But things turned out well. Like what I
It's pretty all
supplemented
right.
that experience. Yeah, yeah, I'm good. Like yeah, I read a lot. I read a lot. Yeah, I'm always looking at something. I'm self taught. I code.
Mhm.
I've taught myself to do everything. I think it's paid off. Like and if I had to do it again, I don't think I would have gone. I would have taken that route. I would have done the exact same thing that I did to get me to this
Even if you
place.
had the money on the table to go to college.
Yeah, and that's if I knew that I would end up in this exact same place, I would take this
Yeah.
pill again. Yeah, I do the exact same thing over. Yeah,
You take this pill. All right.
yeah,
But yeah. Yeah. I get that. And I mean, me personally, the conversation wasn't about not going to college. I had already gone to college. But it was more along the lines of, when I left college, I went to school because I knew it was important to my family for me to do that.
right,
And I was very grateful to my family for, they had already invested so much, so I felt like
right,
I owed it to them to finish. Um, but I knew even then that I wanted to own my own thing. I didn't want to go and work
yep,
for a company. And because of that, when I graduated school, I didn't have the traditional internships and I didn't have the different opportunities lined up, because in my mind, I remember sitting at the bus stop and literally writing out and planning, like making notes on a lot of what we're doing today. A lot still to
mhm,
come, but some of what we have been able to accomplish today, I was sitting at the bus stop dreaming some of these dreams. And so I some of the pressure I would have received was to get a job. And I we spoke about this. We spoke about the fact that a lot of the feedback you get, a lot of the advice that you get when you're chasing your dreams, when you are choosing to go after a life that is outside of the box, a life that is not black and white, that is more colorful, a lot of that advice is not malicious advice. That
No.
person telling you you're wasting your potential, the delivery often is very um uh using some I'm just trying to use the right word. The delivery is often not very thoughtful and people start to feel kind of preachy. But
Right.
the advice, I don't think that it is ever coming from a truly malicious place.
No.
At
No.
some points in time, maybe a judgmental space, but
Mhm.
never a malicious space. Um, but nevertheless, it doesn't mean that just because someone gives you advice when you're chasing your dreams, you have to take that advice.
Well, correct. You have to filter what is said, and try to figure out what are the best pieces and that you can apply to your own life. Because when the person said that, I didn't. What I felt was, okay. All right, this is what you're seeing, and what I thought to myself was, okay, maybe I'm not doing enough. Right?
Mhm.
I'll show you. I'll show you what it is. Just trust me. I'll show you in a few. Just stay tuned.
Right.
So I didn't
So
take it as a personal attack. I feel well. I felt a way about it in a moment, but then when I
yeah, you
reflected,
was in
I
your you
said,
were in your
okay.
feelings for a little bit.
Uh, but I was like, okay, all right. What is this person really trying to say? I was like, okay,
Mhm.
and I just used it as fuel. That's what you do. You use it as fuel, and you just go after what it is you're trying to
What
achieve.
is you going after? Yeah.
Yeah.
So we put together some steps. We were talking through like when you get advice, when you're chasing your dreams, you're going to get advice. People are going to come at you with all kinds of different feedback,
Mm,
especially when you're just starting out and you're struggling and you don't look like you have your stuff together. It may be working, you may have it all plotted out in your mind, like Gino had it in his mind. We have had our vision board since day one. A lot of what we're doing today has been on our vision board since 2015. But just because it's in your head, it doesn't mean that people are seeing that manifest in your life. And the
right.
persons closest to you, they become concerned. They
Yep.
naturally become concerned
Mhm.
because they're looking at you like, hey, like what's going on? Like,
Yeah. You told
yo,
us this, but we're not seeing anything.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. And so you have to process the advice you're receiving in that moment, because a mistake a lot of people make is that they hear something and they just jump, they just act,
Yep.
they it makes them feel something because I saw your face, and I we've had conversations even after you would have received some of the feedback you received, and I personally know how I felt when I was feeling the pressure to maybe just put a pause on my own dreams, right?
Yeah.
And I know it doesn't feel good. It feels horrible. It feels horrendous. And so it's easy to just say, yo, all right, let me just I don't want to have these conversations anymore. Let me just go and just do this
All
thing
right.
so that people don't think this way about me. So that people don't have this view of me, right? What we
And,
spoke
and,
about
and I
some stuff.
think to hear it too, it's you have to know, like, if we were to really like start with something, you have to
Mhm,
know what it is you want, right? Like what it is you really want to accomplish in your own
mhm.
life. I remember this one time, I think we had just moved to West Virginia, and everyone's getting a job, and I'm feeling the pressure now to get a
You
job.
had moved to West Virginia with your family.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I didn't, what they were recommending, I didn't want to. Again, look, I'm not against working at McDonald's, you know, even
Mhm.
Best Buy. I just knew that whatever it is I was going to do, it had to make sense for where I was going. So I had just gotten into tech, and I just knew that if it didn't align with what I wanted for my life and where I saw myself 5 to 10 years from that point, I wasn't doing it. So I got a lot of flack from that. Like, okay, you too good to go work here. And I was like, well, it doesn't align with what I want to do with my life. So yeah, who cares?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that is, and that's a difficult decision to make and conversation to
pressure,
have, especially when you
lots
don't
of
have no
pressure.
money.
Yep.
You
And I didn't have
when
anyone.
you when you ain't
That's
got
right.
no money, you talking about you don't
Broke.
want to work, make these, bro. You ain't got no
Like,
money.
yeah,
You gotta go. You better go flip a burger or do something,
yeah,
right? And the reality is sometimes you do have to work at Mickey D's. Sometimes you
yeah.
do have to, wash the dishes
Do something to make
and
ends meet, right?
do something to make ends meet. But the point you made is important, that you have to know where you want to be 10, 15, 20, 30 years down the road. You have to, step one when you're getting this advice from other people is really to start with knowing who it is you are and what it is you want for your life, where it is you want your life to go. Like being very, very clear on what your goals are, what your dream is,
Yeah.
what your life looks like. I even asked my nieces that question. To my and I said, hey, like, so tell me, like, what do you want for your life? Like, just close your eyes and just like talk it out to me. What do you want to do? Where do you want to live? What experiences do you want to have? You have to have a very specific vision for your life, because when people are coming to you with advice, like, you can just easily filter it through, well, does this match the vision I have for my life or does it not?
All right. And so I
You
would
know?
say that would be like the first step. You have to know yourself and your goals and where you want to go. For the second step, I would say you have to assess like the source of the information. Like, is a
Mhm.
person who is communicating this to me someone that, one, I respect, that is doing something that's very similar to what it is I want to do, and are they
Right.
successful in that area? What
Yeah.
are your thoughts on
Yeah.
that?
Well, this is where a lot of people go wrong. And we've spoken about this, where all advice is not good advice. And
Correct.
the older you get, the more complex that becomes, because you're dealing with people who, they're older than you and maybe you've respected them for a long time, but it doesn't change the fact that the advice they're giving you is probably crap advice. Like, it's not advice that you just take willy-nilly. And so having the, like, discernment is the word. When
Right.
we
Right.
pray, every prayer we pray for discernment. we
First
we
thing.
thank
Right.
God, we're gratitude, all that, but we pray for discernment. I'm not even praying for money. You can hold the money, God, give me discernment. I want to be able to see things. I want things to unfold before me, like, because once you have discernment, you make better quality decisions, you make higher
That's right.
quality decisions when you can discern. And so having the discernment to, you're hearing this advice, but to look at the person that is sharing the advice and to say, well, you know what, let me think about this. Like, well, what's their life story? What are some of the
Mhm.
decisions they've made? If I could trade places with them tomorrow, would I?
Correct.
You know, what how it does, is their dream consistent with the dream that I have for myself? And that's why I said it's difficult, because sometimes you're doing this and it's people who you have respected for a very long time, and it doesn't mean that you disrespect them, but you have to know, like, we talk about it all the time, like, if you're trying to get into, let's say, athletics, right? You want to be this top performing athlete. There's a basketball player, let's use that, that's a hot thing, a lot of young boys want to be basketball players, right? There's a formula for that. You don't just get up and just be that. There's a formula to become that. And so, are you taking advice from the person who's studying to be an accountant? I mean, they can help you with your money, but are you taking the advice from them on how to get into the NBA? Or are you taking the advice from someone who has either walked your path or coached someone along your path or mentored someone along your path? Because
Who
just
was
because someone,
in the NBA, right?
or who was in the NBA, yeah. So
Who is or who
it's,
was in the NBA, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So and it's obvious when you think of these very big things, like being in the NBA, and I don't know, being a whatever, a big singer or something, or owning a multi-million dollar business, whatever it is. It's easy to see obvious that is, but it's a lot harder when maybe your dream isn't to make millions or to impact people, but it's still your dream. It's still your idea. And you still have to look at the people who are giving you advice and filter their advice through through a lens of discernment.
Correct.
Yeah. And note, remembering all the time, hey, this is not malicious advice. Most of the time, 9 out of 10 times, in my experience, it's not malicious advice at all. It is just, it's just their opinion, and they, many people just wanted to share their opinion. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the second thing we said. Assess the source of the advice, and and really be discerning about, hey, what is, what are the things that maybe would impact them, or what are the things that would lead them to give this advice that they're giving.
Right. And we consume a lot of information daily. Like I can't
Mhm,
remember what the statistic is, but if you love
mhm,
social media, that's like 7 gigs of additional data that you've downloaded into your brain.
mhm,
And so it's everything that you see, everything that you hear. And if you're like us, we follow a lot of like motivational and like business
mhm.
people in our field who are doing the exact same thing like us, are on a similar path.
Yeah.
And sometimes some things you hear and it's just like, okay, I understand that, and then you just filter, you accept what is being said, you respect it just based on what they've done, but you only need to, you filter through what it is you want to apply to your actual life based on your current circumstances.
Yeah. That is such a great point, you know, that it's the filtering. Like, you have to, okay, I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna keep this. Sometimes you could keep all of that. Doesn't mean that I don't like you. It just means that I'm not taking advice from you on this particular thing because it doesn't align with my circumstance. And we do
And
that
not
all
just
the
that,
time.
it's, sometimes it could just be like, okay, my situation isn't your situation. Whatever benefits are okay, we like to use the monopoly analogy, the cards,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Cards, we play a lot of cards. The cards I have in my hand are completely different to yours, and so I have to use what I have to my advantage, right?
Yeah.
And so maybe you have a similar card. Great, I'll take that advice and I will make it work.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. We speak about that. And I mean, we don't play Monopoly in our household anymore. But
No.
no, we don't. We don't.
Sure.
We'll save that
Why
for
don't what,
another
what?
podcast episode. But 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 the Monopoly analogy is a good one because everybody starts on a Monopoly board, but depending on the die that you roll, which is life, depending on the life that God has given you, you're playing a completely different game. And so you have to make different moves. You have to
Right.
leverage different opportunities. You have to play a different game to win, you know,
Yep.
and to ensure that you are in a high leverage situation based on the hand that you have been dealt, based on the game that you are playing, based on your circumstances. And a lot of people don't get this because if you are playing a game and you got boardwalk and all that stuff on the top end, and somebody else has all, you know, the Baltic and all the stuff on the front end, which is so much lower value than yours, is not the same game. That's not a fair trade. It's not an equal trade. And a lot of
Right.
people, they are consuming information and taking advice and making decisions based on people who are playing a completely different game to them with a unique set of circumstances that are not related to their
Correct.
own. So
Right.
you have to be discerning and assess the source of the advice, uh, and how, in what hand they're playing.
Right.
And the last thing we said, Gino, was what? No matter what happens, even if somebody say, why are you still doing that, stubbornness? Are you still trying that? What's the last bit of advice?
Well, I'd say you should accept feedback gracefully, right? Don't be like, like don't cost them. They don't know any better. Not I'm
Tell
saying
them
like
kiss up.
it doesn't have to be disrespectful. Just, you appreciate their opinion and you keep it moving. If it's something that you can learn from, sure, by all means, but you shouldn't let it affect you in any way.
Yeah. But and let's be real. That is one of the hardest things to do. To receive feedback and to not be shaken by maybe some really strong advice you get.
And that is why know yourself and where you want to go and what your goals are is number one on the list.
Yeah.
Because there are many times I just wanted to quit and say, you know what, maybe let's try it their way, but no,
Mhm.
no. So you
You know what you
need
want.
that grounding in order to get through this for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. Agreed. Which really brings us to the next question. What does it really take to chase your dreams? Because we talk about the fact that and I'm not going to even share that vision board now. We'll share it down the road. But we had a vision board that we put up in our first apartment, and we had all kinds of things on there, and we had a big dream. We outlined that, and we had a plan. And I mean, I'll be honest with you, I thought it'd be like a year or two. I certainly didn't think it'd be 10 years to even start to see um some of this. But what what would you say is like the disconnect that sometimes even us we've had with maybe you're making a plan and then you act to actually execute on the plan?
Mm. Well, I can speak for myself. It has
Mhm,
been, I would say it's sacrifice on a
mhm,
personal level, and yeah, it's personal, like emotional, relational. Like
mhm.
it's sacrifice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've spoken about that before, where you have to sacrifice comfort so to chase your dreams, because you have a plan. This is the plan, this is the dream. Well, this is the dream and this is the plan to get there. And then there's everything in between. And what we're talking about is all the in between based on
Right.
our experience. And the first thing you're saying is sacrifice.
Yeah, like let's go into it. Like, I mean, I've my family, they always pull me up on this. Hey, I haven't heard from you in a long time. My friends, you're just in it. Even with you, my wife, and long before
Mhm,
you are my wife. It's like,
mhm,
not dating, not doing, not finding that balance. Right? It's just goal, 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 dream, dream, dream. Like, yeah, you're gonna get, and what you gotta be careful to not get sucked into that cycle, because I'll tell you this, it's not healthy. It is
yeah.
not. And I'm speaking from a point where that was the case, and I now understand how detrimental that was for my health, and so it's no longer. I've adjusted since then, right? But it can, you have to
Mhm.
sacrifice, but you have to be mindful. Like, it can't become an obsession, because then
It
you,
cannot.
you yeah, yeah, not no, it can't become an obsession. You still need to find that. I don't like saying finding that balance, because I feel like if you got a dream, you got a goal, you have to be
Mhm.
obsessed with it, but you have to be mindful of what's happening around you. I'll leave it at that. You have to be mindful of what's happening around you.
Yeah. So ask a question. Do you think that, excuse me, if you did not have the approach you had in those early years where you were just obsessed with learning, with growing, with just and you are still that way. Obviously we find moments. I mean, I hear you talking, but I know I can't think of one night where we go to bed together. I go to bed and then you come to bed maybe at 2 or 3 a.m. almost every morning. My question is like, do you, but I obviously we make time now for
Correct.
those for experiences that kind of replenish us. Do you
Right.
think that we would have experienced the success we experienced with Thoughtful if you were
Yeah.
not obsessed, and if you had, if we were living to, if we were living then in the manner we live today.
Right. So, and I'm just going to put it all on the table. If you're young and you're starting a business and you got a dream you're chasing after, you got to know that, like, whatever you still like, whatever you see happening with your friends and your family, those fun things, like it's not gonna be fun. It's not gonna be fun for a very long time. Like,
Mhm,
and to be honest, I would not have changed it. If I had to redo any of this, I would
mhm,
still be extremely obsessed about it. Like,
mhm,
hands down, 10x effort. Like, any successful person will tell you that
mhm.
when you're starting a business or you're doing that, just leaving the box, like, you got to put in not just 10x but like 20 times
Mhm.
the effort, and you just got to go. Like, that's just, unfortunately, that's just how it is.
Right. And that's the sacrifice and the reality that while you do let go of the traditional concept of balance, it is still important to, you can't just go, 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 go. Because remember, we had a period, and that may be what you were referring to. We had a period where we said, hey, we're going to just work through every weekend. We're just going to work until
Right.
we hit our
Every
goals,
day,
we make our
seven
dreams a
days a week.
reality.
7 days a
7 days
week.
a week. And I remember like maybe 2, 3 months in, I was like, forget about this. This is for the birds. Like, there is no way. Like, and so no, for sure, our Sundays, they're sacred.
Right, but
Sunday is a
that's
day
years
where
after the fact, though.
years after the fact, we have learned that we have to have that day, especially because we are not just partners in business, but we have a relationship, we have a
Right.
marriage.
I have to deal
And
with you
and
outside of work.
you have to deal with me outside of work. You do.
Yes.
You do have to
Yeah.
tolerate me outside of work, unfortunately. So
Unfortunately, yes. Yeah.
so there is that balance has to be found, because if we don't, then I mean, if I don't like you in personal, I'm not sure how it's gonna flow in the
Right,
business. But
but
we know what
okay,
that
so
looks like.
tell me this now, like, how would you define sacrifice in terms of, like, pursuing your dreams?
For me, I feel like sacrifice is a lot of what you shared, where you don't sacrifice your physical health for sure. I'm
Mhm.
not for that, because I don't want to be wealthy and out of
Right,
shape.
right.
You don't sacrifice the relationships that are most important to you, from the perspective of, you don't just like burn them off. You communicate at least. And I worked, for me, I worked to communicate with like my family, especially the ones who would call me consistently, like, hey, listen,
Yeah.
this is what's happening, and you cannot, like, I'm not going to be available between these hours. You can't call me in the daytime. You can talk to me on a Saturday between this time. You also can't call me on a Sunday. And not and that has evolved over time now, where I'll make more time, and obviously in emergency situations. But I think sacrifices me talking to Ashley when she's throwing her shot, saying I'm not gonna make her birthday, and explaining,
Yeah, that's sweet little thing.
Auntie's
So
working on this
so
thing,
sweet.
and we're chasing this dream, and it's gonna work out, and I'll see you
Well,
in the
what
summer.
did she tell you? All you care about is Uncle Gino and what? That's how it
Yeah,
should
all I
be,
care
right?
about is Uncle Gino work. They hit me with that shot, and I was like, "But I love you. Like, we had a whole summer together." But
Yeah.
and those are hard conversations to have, but it's real.
Okay, okay.
It's
So on
real.
the topic of this, right? So that's like a family sacrifice. Like, what
Mhm,
something, like a personal experience where along your journey where
mhm.
sacrifice was absolutely necessary.
Um, wow. I feel like since I personally started in business, I just knew, like, I was wearing the same clothes. I still don't have like a whole extensive wardrobe, because I will buy a podcast mic before I go and buy up
Correct.
a whole bunch of clothes. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna buy some new gear or equipment for the company. I'm gonna pay for a subscription service before I pay for something for myself. We have sacrificed consistently in pouring back into our business, and I feel like that has been the biggest sacrifice for me, because Like my family just went to my mom does all these trips all the time, and if it's not South Africa, it's Asia and all this. And yeah, I want to go to South Africa. I want to go to Asia. I want to do some of these things, but I'm like, I can't do that right now. Like, I cannot, because that is not the responsible decision for me to make based on the dream that I have. If I do that, it means that I'm likely going to be taking, um even if it's my money, it's not the company's money, I could just still be putting my own money back into the business.
Correct.
And so I think it's understanding that you're going to give up some things and choosing what it is you do. So yeah, Ashley, they hit me that shot. All I care about is work and Uncle Gino. And so what I'm gonna be I'm on the phone with them, right? I try to be on the phone with them more often, and I'm playing taboo and all this nonsense. She was making a beat the other night, but just trying to yes, you're sacrificing, but still finding those pockets of time to
Well, I would say
optimize
that
for
I'm
you.
not gonna lie, over the years with you personally, like outside of
Mhm.
your kindness, I have been obviously the direct beneficiary of all of that. But like
Mhm.
I've seen you, like you choose to like get me something for my desk setup or something for my
Yeah.
computer, even if it's a gift or something before you like do your nails or your hair or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
my nails haven't been done in a
and
minute.
even like I know that when it comes to the business, I know how much it means to you and us, and like you just it's like that is a priority, obviously, besides me. But
Yeah. Yeah. And to me, I don't even see those as sacrifices. Like, am I going to pay for a subscription or do my nails? I'm gonna pay for a subscription every day of the week, every day of the week, every month of the year, every year of the
and then
decade.
come scratch me up later. Correct. Yeah, it's
And
cool.
yeah, and then scratch you up. You be all right. You got a
Yeah.
fingernail clipper somewhere there, but it's I'm not gonna sacrifice. I'm gonna do my hair though. I'm gonna do my hair every 4 to 5 weeks. That I will not skimp on. But my nails, no. Like those though, and to me those aren't sacrifices. Sacrifices for
Yeah.
me are when I can't be around my nieces, and when I can't be, have certain moments with my family.
Correct.
But clothes and vanity things, that's not a sacrifice to me. That's just
Mhm.
like that or business,
That's
business every
yeah.
time, every single time. I'm about the dream. So
Yeah.
so we spoke about that and the fact that you're going to have to make sacrifices. That is one of the things that you're going to have to do to when you're chasing your dream. You have to be prepared to make sacrifices. And the reality is that if you believe in your dream, if you love your dream enough, it won't feel like a sacrifice. It will not feel like a sacrifice. It will just feel like duh. Like it'll just be like, of course I'm going to do this. Like,
Yeah.
why would I not do that?
Correct.
But I think the second thing we spoke about is destroying your ego is one of the, to me, that is like ground zero for chasing your dreams. Like what it
Right.
takes, destroying your ego is ground zero for chasing your dreams. Because ego, when you think of ego, and there are all these different definitions, but for me, when I think of ego, I think that ego is set up to preserve. It is set up to
Right.
preserve and protect reputation, perception, how we see ourselves, all of that. And
Yeah.
so destroying the ego is really destroying that mask of protection around whatever it is you're trying to project, and really focusing on how do I consistently get better? How do I like destroy myself every single time? How do I look at myself and break myself down, outline my flaws, and rebuild better every single day? And for me, that is one of the most important aspects of really chasing your dream. That is one of the fundamental things that you have to go through, is destroying your ego and being okay with feedback and criticism, which in our business, in our relationship, we just had a whole conversation today around that. In our business, in our relationship, I feel like that has been a an accelerant for us. It has accelerated our growth because we're not coddling each other in any way. There's nobody that can give me feedback that is stronger than the feedback that you've given me. And
Right.
I'm certain
I
that no
I
one is
I
going to
was
be.
yep. I was just
Go ahead.
about yeah, because I mean, as a man, I mean, for women, I don't really hear a lot about like a case where oh, you know, a woman's ego got in the way of her doing something. You usually
Hmm.
hear about that when it's when a man is involved,
Hmm.
and in the context of business, and for
Hmm.
someone who is married to someone who
Hmm.
is older than him, right?
I'm older by 3. Don't start this. Don't start this. Do not start
And
this.
someone
No.
who is
Go ahead.
also a woman, for a man, if you don't know, I mean, you don't know, but it can be a bit intimidating at times if the person that's always pulling you up on something is a woman, nonetheless, your
Hmm.
wife. But all jokes aside, it's extremely important to like we always say, you got to kill yourself. Every new year we're going to kill ourselves and we're going to do better. You absolutely have to do that. I mean, if I had let my ego get in the way of my growth, like I don't think I'd be here because we've had some really
Yeah.
tough conversations, right?
Tough.
Right.
Yeah.
That
Tough.
usually
Tough
turned
is
into arguments.
it's a great
But
word.
yeah, on the statement, tough. But at the end of the day, like you just gotta, you take it and you accept that feedback, no matter how hard it is to hear in the moment, and you just keep it moving and you do better. You promise to do better, and you,
Mhm.
you do better. That's what really matters. It becomes a problem when
Mhm.
the ego consumes you, and like you feel like you made it, you've arrived. um you get rid of all humility, and then now what? All right, nobody wants to, you know
Yeah. Yeah. What's I've said this to you before on more than one occasion that I think your superpower, like your business superpower, is that you you I've never met someone who receives feedback, receives advice, and is so obsessed and committed to not making the same mistake again and again.
no.
And and that is something that I find to be just so it not to be has been so incredibly valuable to our lives, our relationship, because you do that in our personal relationship, and our business because you just want to get better. And I think it's just become like ingrained in you to say, all right, yeah, I know I did that, but how can I make it better? I know last year we did this whole rebrand for Thoughtful. And let me tell you, our shit looks
uh,
great. I compliments again and every single
it's a
client,
stretch.
you know? Exactly. And after going through all of that work and working with the team to get it right and you putting your finishing touches on it, the day we launch, the night we launch, you come up to me and you're like, yeah, babe, so I know we did that, but this is how I would. And I'm like, my guy, I know you're always trying to make something better, but bask in this. Like be happy about this. And
Yeah.
you're like, nah, like I'm not just comfortable resting and being just like, yeah, it's great. I want to always get better. And for me, I think if people can adopt that mindset, if you can adopt that disposition in your life, you are you set yourself apart. You set yourself ahead of everybody else because most people will try to protect and preserve themselves, their ego, what they have done. Most people are going to sit there looking at, they've just launched a new brand. Oh, it's so great. They're not
Right.
sitting there saying, hey, how could I have made this better? And it's the people who are critiquing and constantly looking to improve on themselves and on their work. Those are the people who actually grow closer to their dreams. and
Right.
and I think both of us, we have, I would say, and it's a healthy level of paranoia relative to being in the same place as we were before,
Right.
relative to not growing and improving and taking ourselves to the next level, relative to making the same mistakes again and again. And when you can do that, when you can destroy your ego and not care about looking small, looking
Correct.
foolish,
So,
you're winning.
right. On the way to success and chasing your dreams, like I personally feel like the ego is like the ultimate killer, especially if you're a man, for sure. But I would say, on the topic of chasing your dreams, what's also important is relentless discipline, right? Showing
Mhm.
up every day and doing what matters. Share with me like some of your like how do you practice discipline on a daily basis?
Yeah, good question. I mean, discipline for me, I have not, transparently, I've not always been the most disciplined person. And I've stated this. Not only I've always had big dreams, but I have not always had the best habits. And so because I have always worked to be self-aware, I can look at myself and say, "Hey, like you're a little lazy, you know? You don't have the best habits."
I'll challenge you. I'll challenge you on that because
Well, I
what
mean
you're
before.
disciplined
I don't
in.
mean right now.
No. What you're
Mhm.
disciplined in, because we're both very disciplined in what the areas in which we want to be disciplined in. For example,
Okay.
I am going to want to code and do my courses and stuff, and I
Mhm.
want to go to the gym. I want to eat. That's
Yeah.
cool. But on the flip side, granted, I know you love to move. Like the average going to the gym thing doesn't excite you. You got to be playing
No, it
sports,
doesn't.
right? You love basketball. You love hikes.
Yeah.
What eh, I know that for it's been a decade now, but every day I would hear your voice. I would hear your morning affirmations. You would
Mm.
read every morning. You would do this. You would
Mhm.
do that for years, and
Yeah.
I wasn't doing that. So
Yeah.
what your discipline looks different to my discipline, right? So I don't
Yeah.
want you to discount that at all.
Thank you. I
You're welcome.
appreciate you
Yeah,
um giving me my
because
flowers.
I can share. As much as I love to read, I wasn't doing it every day. Like that was like
Yeah.
clockwork for you.
Yeah.
So I mean,
I guess discipline for me has been structure.
correct.
I know that I have to operate in structure. Cannot operate without a plan. Even if I'm off, I have a plan. If I'm not doing anything, I have a plan for the day that I'm not doing anything.
That's
Okay, I'm gonna
right.
do breakfast at this time, then I'm gonna do laundry at this time, then I'm gonna play Xbox at this time, then I'm gonna do like I
Right.
have a plan for everything. And
Right.
so I think that the discipline for me has been in just being very structured in my
Mhm.
approach to going after our goals, and not just kind of getting up and being like, all right, yeah, what we doing today, but guiding
Mhm.
my actions is how I show up. And that is what, and I do that because I know that, hey, if I just get up and I don't have a plan, then I'm probably not going to get anything done. But if I have a plan, my OCD is going to kick in and I'm going to want to see green on everything. I'm going to want to check those boxes off. So yeah.
And we know that, but okay, that's cool. That's fine and dandy. But share with our audience like what are some of the strategies to like stay on track? Because I
Mm,
mean the word discipline, it sounds great, but like I
yeah.
don't think we completely understand what it means and what it entails, right? So what are
Mhm.
some strategies you'd share?
Yeah, I think discipline is also about giving yourself grace, right? It's having patience and knowing that every day is not going to be like 100 today. I saw this post. It was so perfect. 100 today is not the same as 100 tomorrow. It's based on what you
Mm,
have in that moment to give. And
nice.
there are some days where I don't feel, I told you, like there's some days where I'll come to you and like, babes, like I didn't feel very productive today, or I don't feel like great today. And it's giving your very best in that moment and a little extra too. So I think it's patience and it's staying focused. One of the life hacks is turning off notifications on your phone. Let me tell you, these group chats, nope. So I think like turning off like my WhatsApp, I can't even see, slide up my phone. I can't even see like if I have what a new WhatsApp message, where's the camera? If I have a new WhatsApp message, like I cannot even see like a notification. I have to
Right.
open the app to see it. So it's little things like that. It's I told you I
And
got the
putting it on
smart
a
meter
third page. Right.
and put right. I don't have it on the third page. It's on the first
Got it.
page for me.
Nah. Yeah.
But turning off notifications, changing my email provider to where my emails are more structured. Like there's so many different resources that can help you stay disciplined, get disciplined and stay disciplined, and maybe we can tag some, include some like in the video, but
Right.
or in subsequent videos. But I think discipline more than anything is having structure
Mhm.
and having patience and building momentum, because at
Right.
first it's not going to feel great.
On the topic of patience, however, like something that I've learned is that patience is great. It
Mhm.
is, but what's even better, like while you're being patient, you have to be extremely impatient, right?
Yeah.
Where okay, you don't know where the next opportunity is going to come from.
Mhm.
Whatever it is you're working on, I'm in code. Like you just got to be ready, right? So while you're being patient, you have to pretend like it's do or die. So on the back
Yeah.
end, you're working on yourself, you're working on your skills, for
Mhm.
when that opportunity presents itself, right? Because
Aggressive
guess what?
patience.
Right, because it's not no one's it's not going to land in your lap, right? No one is gonna give
Mhm.
it to you. You gotta be ready.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to be ready. And so the fourth step I would say in terms of what it takes to live your dreams. So we talked about prepare to sacrifice. We talked about destroying your ego through self-reflection and just really, when we say tearing yourself down, we don't mean diminishing yourself to nothing, but removing this idea that you have to be perfect and being okay being imperfect, understanding that
Right.
working on your imperfections every day and finding something to work on within yourself is what's going to make you great, what's going to make you better. Never settling and being comfortable and thinking, oh, I got everything figured out, yada, yada, yada. The third thing was
Yeah.
relentless discipline, show up every day and practicing that aggressive patience, staying focused. And the fourth thing I think that's really important to understand when you're chasing your dreams and what it takes to chase your dreams is acknowledge and be okay with the fact that your relationships will change. Your
Correct.
relationships are going to change. They're not going to be the same as they were
Woo!
before.
Yep.
and and they're gonna change. You sound like you have something to say, Gino.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I I'm experiencing it every day. Like somebody just switch up. You switching up, you're gonna
What they
experience
may
a
say,
lot of
you're
that.
switching up.
No,
You
no,
think you're a
I'm not.
big baller? No.
No, no, no. I'm still the same Gino, but
Mhm.
um, yeah, your relationships are going to change, and I think by the time that happens, you should be aware of like completely aware of where you're going, and you have to be okay and understand that the people who are with you when your journey started won't be with you at the end. I mean, in some cases, some are like, but for you
Mhm.
to get to that next level, wherever it is you want to go, some people just can't come with you along on that journey, unfortunately.
Yeah. And as you are aware, that has been perhaps one of the hardest things for me to come to terms with, because as strong as I project to be in all of this, I'm still a sucker for love and for community and and
Yeah,
connectedness with people. And
correct.
so acknowledging the reality that your relationships will change and you have to change. You have to evolve. You cannot get to, that's just not how life works. You don't get to a new level and then you're the same person. If you are on a new level and you're the same person you were when you're on the level below that, or you're around the same people you were on when you're on the level below that, if you're not evolving your circle, or if your circle is not evolving with you, then what life says is, oh, you're on this level, but actually you're supposed to be on this level. So it just knocks you back down. It's like it's
Yeah.
the universe just auto correcting. And that is one of the difficult things to come to terms with, because when you do push yourself to another level and you realize, hey, people around me are not evolving themselves to be on this level, then the conversation, or what's going on inside of you, the turmoil is that, well now I have to adjust my relationship with this person that I thought was, I was going to be done with for a long time, is
Right.
not going to be the same. And these could be people, for 15, 20 years. Like it your relationships will change. And
Correct.
that's difficult, but it's necessary.
Yeah, like I've had people say to me, "Oh well, I feel like I don't know you anymore. Like you've
Hmm.
just you've changed up on me." And I was like, "Oh," I was like in my head, I was like, "Oh, that's great. I mean, you're obviously not doing something that But that what I would say is, again, you got to know where you're going, and
Hmm.
you can't let the things people say affect you. um you gotta put yourself in the right circle. You know, if you, I mean, we all have our group chats where we just kick shit and
Hmm.
have a blast. But one of my more like beneficial set of relationships
Hmm.
is with my homeboys, right? We went to
Yeah.
school together. Shout out to Rami and Pepe. They know who they are, right? But
Yeah.
in our group chat, they're successful software engineers. They're really good. They
Mhm.
make six figures.
You putting their business
And
out there like that?
oh, careful, Black Kings making money,
Let's
nah.
go. Okay,
But
celebrate our Black Kings. Let's go.
yeah, but the quality of conversations that we have in that WhatsApp chat is really good. It's about money. It's about taxes. It's about saving for whatever. Women as well, but it's more finances and what's not.
Right.
But
And taking your
I
life
think
to the next level.
and I exactly and you learn things, like you learn
Mhm.
things, and there's nothing more attractive than, and not just attractive, but it's something that's very admirable about a black man who knows his stuff. Just well,
Yeah.
who cares about money. You don't normally
Yeah.
see that. And that they got direction. They know where they want to go, and they're not letting anybody um take them off of that track, derail them
Yeah.
in any way.
Yeah. And you, when you do share, certain little things that you guys discuss, he's not going into details at all, guys. But if there's something positive that okay, if there's something look at that smile. If there's something positive that contributes to, our improving our financial future. I've seen you apply certain things, and I've heard you on the phone, and y'all are talking and asking questions, and those are quality relationships that you grow with, and
Right.
and I think that you need you have to have people that are growing with you, and if they're not, you have to be willing to make the hard decisions to adjust your relationships. And adjusting the relationship does not mean that you tell them f off. It in no
No.
way means that. It just means that they can't have premier access to you. That's not the way it
Correct.
goes. Like, you
And
cannot
you gotta be
have.
careful because you growing up, coming up, you love your friends and you
Mhm.
somehow think that you'll forever be in this bubble.
Yeah.
It's gonna be cozy all the time. That's not how it. That's not how it is. No, you
No.
eventually grow up and your priorities change, and so you have to now adult, and that means that you can't be on the phone with them all the time or text them every day. It's just to find that balance. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we had that last thing I'll say on this. We had that conversation very
Why?
early in our
No.
relationship.
Yeah.
Was
Why are
that?
you you smiling?
Because you know what I'm about to say.
I don't know
Where
what you're.
we had, you don't know what I'm about to say?
I do. I do.
We had where we had this conversation very early up. I think it's like year one, and you were working on yourself, but I remember you be, you know, doing your
I,
work and then you're on video call with your friends. And I'd be like, what the hell is this? Like you can't be
you
on no
probably just
FaceTime with
hating, but it's all right.
I was hating. Like I'm like, nah, like we got a dream to build. Like, what are you doing? But
yeah,
that was difficult for you at the time.
correct,
But these days and in the years since that conversation, you just made a complete shift in terms of it's not saying I'm not gonna talk to my friends, but it's saying, hey, like my priority is building my dreams. And that goes back to that
right,
monopoly board that you talk about because
yep,
hey, this is the hand you're dealt. These are the card. These are the pieces you got. This is the hand you've been dealt, and you got to play that hand.
yep,
Yeah, yeah. Okay, all right. So we spoke about the fact that relationships would change. You use a word in Island Harbor Parley called anchors, and that's our second to last section is anchors that hold you down. Um,
mm.
and if you could so kindly define what an anchor is for the persons
You
listening
got a
to the
boat.
podcast.
You got a boat.
Up
You
in the
wanted to
harbor,
stop. Yeah,
right off the wharf.
right out of water. Yeah, daddy. You should anchor in the water, boat stop. But all jokes aside, though, an anchor is anything that keeps something in place, right? It
Mhm.
keeps it in place. So there's no momentum. You're not moving. You're not going up. You're not going down. You're stuck in place, right?
Yeah, yeah. And when you use that, I mean, you use the most colorful analogies that just made me say,
Right.
"Boy, what you talking?" Then I'm like, "Oh my
Yeah.
god!" Like,
Yeah.
don't say
Think
that out
about it.
loud, please.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
not say it, but you do. You say it from time to time. But this is so important to the conversation about you're chasing this big dream. You have chosen to jump outside of the box and live this life full of color. There are going to be some anchors that are set to keep you in place, whether maliciously or not maliciously.
And it
These
doesn't have
anchors
to be
keep you in
just
place.
people, right? Just
Right,
it doesn't have to be a person. It can also
right.
be something you're a game or some
A bad
obsession.
habit. Yeah.
Those yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That those are
Anything
also
that
anchors.
takes you off of your goal. And
Correct.
so we listed three anchors that keep you in place and that hinder your progress and hold you back. The first is anything that causes you doubt. So this could be people, this could be conversations, this could
Mm-hmm.
be, content you're consuming online, this could be just, the way you're acting, the steps you're taking. Anything that causes you doubt is an anchor that's holding you back. The second one is people who have an issue with your evolution. Now this one is specific to people because we also speak about the reality that there are going to be a lot of people who are going to support you when you're growing, and there are also going to be people who they have an issue with the fact that you are evolving, and they're going to be throwing cheap shots, and some of that is malicious, and you have to
Mm-hmm.
be very okay with. And you and I know, we know this is this is not always easy to have people who are not comfortable with how you are evolving, with how you are growing, and to keep moving on. And so that is an anchor. And then the third is people that keep you comfortable, people that you use this analogy where people are any situation actually that keeps you comfortable. You're in a safe space and you feel all cushy and happy. And I always use the analogy. I remember I was looking at this. It was a documentary that was set out to discourage eating meat. So it was like to
Oh,
promote veganism.
what's health? I think that's what it's called.
What the hell? I
Yeah.
watched just a bit of that and I was like, nah, I love chicken
No
too
more
much. I
chicken.
can't watch no more of this. I can't look at this. I don't want to see the rest of it. I don't want to know. I'm just going to eat my chicken. But I looked at the first part and I noticed that before they slaughtered the cows, they would
Yeah.
massage them.
Correct.
They would massage them and make them really comfortable. And then they would
And
kill them.
yep. Yep.
And I saw that and I said, oh my God. Like, and they're saying they're doing that to make the meat tender. And I thought, this is an analogy on life.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime you are comfortable, and I believe that anytime I am too comfortable, if I feel like, oh, everything is going, some shit's about to pop up. Nope.
Yep.
I want to be as uncomfortable as possible. I'm gonna put myself in the most challenging situations because comfort is the enemy of progress. And so any person or any situation or any environment, anything that keeps you comfortable is an anchor, and it is to the detriment of your success. And I
Right.
deeply believe that I will stand on that to the day I die. That is my favorite quote. All progress takes place outside of the comfort zone. So all failure takes place inside of the comfort zone. That's,
Right.
yeah. Nah. Sorry. Go ahead, Gino.
And the next thing I'd say, as relates to anchors, would be um, and everything builds on each other, right? So you have to be mindful about what it is you're taking in, what people tell you,
Hmm.
and to counter that, you have to surround yourself with supportive and like-minded individuals, because
Hmm.
just like a boat, like you can't the boat doesn't know. I'm not sure if that's the right analogy, but the boat is in place, the anchor is there. It can't move until you release that anchor, right? And
Right.
the same is true for people. You may not know that you're anchored to something, like that you're
That's
anchored
facts.
to these bad habits. I mean,
Hmm.
y- I'll speak for myself. Like
Hmm.
sometimes you just don't know until somebody else points it out to you, right? So you could be
Hmm.
in a situation, you're doing it, and you think it's good, you're on the right path, you're doing this, until someone comes along and say, hey, there's a better way to do this, right? You've been
Hmm.
anchored to this one process, this one thing, until
Hmm.
someone who was also in that same place, tells you otherwise, and then all of a sudden you're free, right? And so that's why it's extremely important that you surround yourself with people that not only speak it and talk about it, but you can see in their own lives that their trajectory is just up, right? That they're doing
Yeah.
things, they're busy, and yeah. So
Yeah.
I'd say you want to surround yourself with supportive and like-minded individuals. And guess what? If that relationship isn't working for you, or that thing,
Mhm.
that person who's the anchor, or that obsession, um, guess what? You have to get rid of it. As hard as it sounds, like I was an anchor for me was that Castle Clash game I used to play.
Oh my
Loved it.
God. Don't even. Oh,
It was
Jesus.
a strategic game, and I enjoyed it. I had alarm set. I had set times, and we'd have to, hey, look, hold off, wait till we eat dinner. Let me just play with the client. Let's just get this out of the way, and then we could eat dinner. Looking back at it, that was a huge anchor, right? And then so you have to be mindful of that. It isn't just a person, but it's also bad habits or bad obsessions that doesn't move you in the direction, right, that you need to be going in.
No, that is 1,000% spot on. And the reality is, for most people, the anchor is not even another person. It's just a heap of
Yeah,
bad
exactly.
habits
Exactly.
that is yourself, and it's all the little stupid things you're doing that you're thinking, oh, I could just do this. I could just. But no, it's to your detriment. And for me, it was those. I remember those WhatsApp. I would have anxiety. Just every time my phone buzzed, it was a WhatsApp message, all of these different chats. And I was like, you know what? First of all, I'm leaving all these chats. That's one.
Yep.
Second of all, after I leave these chats, I'm putting my notifications on off and I'm keeping my phone on silent. I don't want to hear a notification unless it's from Stripe. unless
Exactly.
it's unless it's from
Exactly.
Stripe and some money's in come on the way in, I don't want to hear a notification. I don't want to hear nothing about nothing because like this is a waste of my time, and it and
Right.
it just that it seems like such a small thing, but that buzz, that thing, it seems so insignificant, but it when you hear it, you lose focus, you shift your focus from whatever it is you're doing to whatever that is. That
Right.
red light saying, oh, there's a new notification, you're naturally curious. That's why they have it as, it's a
Mhm.
psychological thing. They
Yep,
have it
yep,
as
yep.
a red alert. Who doesn't want new mail? Oh, someone is messaging me. Oh, someone has sent me an email. You want that. Turn them
Yep.
off. That was my anchor for sure. And I felt like it was making it difficult for me to continue, like to be productive, to be as productive
Right.
as I wanted to be,
Right.
so yeah. So the final section, I think, is, I'm not going to say my favorite section, but the thing, it's a thing that people don't often talk about. So people will always talk about, hey, well, dealing with people giving you advice, or anchors and different people holding you back, or different situations holding you back, or sacrifice. We hear these things often associated with chasing your dreams, with chasing your goals. But one of the things people seldom talk about, that we have had to learn the hard way on
Right.
more than one occasion,
Yep.
is that you it's not just about chasing your dream. You don't just chase your dream and hit your dream and then boom, I'm done. You chase your dream and you start to see success, and some success. And whether
Right.
you become ultimately successful in the pursuit of your big dream depends on how you manage and navigate early success.
Right.
And if you do that wrong, you actually set yourself back, which we have done on more than one occasion.
Yep.
We've learned that lesson. Yeah. So there's that. But but this conversation is around managing success, and four things you need to consider, or four things you should consider, and these are all based on our experiences. Four things you should consider when in managing success. Cool?
Right.
Okay.
So, okay, how do you what are some indicators of like realizing or recognizing like all these success on your journey? Like
Right.
how, for the audience, how do you like recognize something like quickly?
Yeah, well, early success, you have your goals, right? You're not just setting out this big dream. Like, you have your big dream, but hopefully you have set incremental targets along the way. You're not just saying I'm going to the moon, but first you got to build a rocket ship, right? And before that, you got to learn how to navigate in space. So it's first of all having your metrics in place, setting your small targets, and when you start to see yourself hitting your smaller targets, that's an indicator of early success. For us, it was when we started getting some clients. Like, we started making some money. We were able to buy groceries. We started being able to buy groceries. We were off the chicken wings, the Chinese
Yeah.
food,
Yep.
and
Yep.
and we were able to buy groceries sometimes, and eat proper meals. You know, Everyone has their own benchmark. For us, as we were getting more clients, we were starting to make some money, and I think that there are pitfalls and mistakes that we all make when we experience early success, and you have to be cognizant. It's easy when you start to see early success to feel like, hey, I'm that, yo, who like me? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll be honest, that's how I felt. I was like, I am the greatest thing since God created this earth. Like, yes, I'm winning. I told y'all I was. Nope. You gotta reel it in, step back, and be humble about it. But that's
Correct.
that's not
Correct.
always easy. So step one for me is knowing, obviously, what your big goal is, and then what your smaller targets are that define success for you. So if it's sales, if it's getting some sort of a certification,
Right.
if
Right.
it's whatever it is for you, determine what those smaller targets are. And then when you hit one of those, when you start to see some early success, step one is really maintaining focus. So again, once you start to win, you start to get on a high, right? You start to feel like,
Right.
hey, I got it.
Yeah.
But
What I'd say though, like something that we've done extremely well, we've remained humble for sure. Um,
yeah,
I mean, yeah, yeah. No arrogance, obviously, no. And what we've always done is we have put whatever we've earned back into the business and
Oh
into
yeah,
ourselves, right? Like
right.
we've invested in the business more than we have invested in ourselves, I would say.
Oh
Like
yeah.
just looking at the trajectory over the years,
Oh yeah.
the business
We've
came
invested in the
first, and
business
then
and we've put a lot of money in our business and we've put a
yeah,
lot of
and
money
and I see
into the
the reason
people that
why
were in our
that is the
business.
positive side
Yeah.
of the pitfall, which would be to blow
Yeah.
whatever you get that money, you feel okay, great, you made your first
Yeah.
couple thousand,
Splurge.
you
Yeah.
gonna want to spend it,
And
right?
I made that mistake the first time.
Yeah,
The
that's
first
you
time
gotta
I
avoid that.
started in business, even before you and I
Yeah,
were in business, I got that money. I was like, "Hey, let's go. Hit me with that beamer. Let's do it." The worst. Oh my god. I still cannot believe how dumb I was. But, I that was a lesson learned and I'm glad that I learned it then and
yep,
that it wasn't no and I go and buy a Lambo and be and be like a dummy. Like no, like you get early success, stay humble and reinvest it
and reinvest it, right?
in your business. And you made a good point. We After learning that lesson from me in the first year I was in business without you, before we got into business together, after learning that lesson, making that mistake and spending up that money that I shouldn't have spent, I learned that, be very just put the money back into the business. And like I said, we have
Right,
invested in our business, we've invested in our equipment in our business, we've invested in the technology we need for our best business, we have invested in the people in our business, we've poured a lot of money
correct.
into the people in our business, and our
That's for
focus
sure.
has been always to put back into our business. But I'd say the first mistake people make is like, and we did this. We did this. We did this. We didn't go and buy a stupid like a material thing, but we
Mhm,
figured, hey, if we're doing this was like in 2016, we said, hey, if
mhm.
we're starting to see this traction in business now, why don't we go and start another business?
Let's
And
buy
now
a
we can
boat.
see traction in that too. Let's go buy a boat. Right? And we went and took our happy asses to to
So
Florida.
where we're from, guys, boat actually stands for bring out another thousand, right?
Is somebody has said that to me. I only learned that after we
Yeah,
bought the boat.
we learned it
Is
after.
somebody
Yeah,
had said that to me. Anyway,
and
so
it's actually my brother who told me that after we had dragged the boat to him to fix it. 'Cause he's a boat mechanic. I wish I
yeah,
knew. Yeah,
and stoves, oh my goodness. But that was a mistake we made. So the first thing in managing success, you're starting to see some success. Step one is maintaining focus. Focus on what it is you're doing and the dream you are going after. Do not
yeah,
make the mistake that we made where we're thinking, hey, this is going well, let's go down this path, and because we're so great in this area, we're going to be so great in that area. Bad idea. This concept, we see it online, everybody talking about multiple streams of income. It is, oh my god, I absolutely hate to see it. It is some of the worst advice people get
here
because
we go.
you're talking about multiple streams of income for people who do not have one stream of income.
Right,
Most of the business people who have multiple streams of income, they have invested in these additional streams of income after having one steady stream of income. It's not that they get up and wake up on a Monday
right.
morning and said, I'm going to invest in 5 different businesses. It is lunacy. Don't do it. It's bad advice. Please don't do it. Don't believe the hype. But the first is really focus and understanding that people are going to come to you, not just you having this idea and saying, let me go down this rabbit trail, but we have had people come to us with different opportunities. And being the believers that we are, we want
Mhm.
to we want to run that out. We want to make an investment. We want to help somebody else build their dream, you know? And so it's really about maintaining focus and saying, hey, if this is what I'm working on, if this is what it is I'm doing, if this is what it is I'm building, I'm going to double down on that. I am
Correct.
going to triple down on
And
that.
in the context of our business, we have pivoted quite a bit over the years, and
Mhm.
I'd say like some of the pitfalls we've made, even like recently, like a couple years ago, where we developed, was it last year, where we developed that app project where we thought,
Mhm,
it could be another source of
mhm,
income,
mhm,
and
mhm.
so a lot of time was devoted to that instead
Yeah.
of the business. So it's extremely important, and not just it's the dream here is personal, and we're dropping some business nuggets as well. It also relates to your relationships, right? So
Mhm.
you want to maintain focus, not just in the business, but like with us. I know many couples are doing business together, are doing life together, and
Mhm.
it's important that you keep your eyes on the prize, right? If it's
Yeah.
working for you,
This the
then
prize right here. That's the prize. You the prize,
yeah,
babes.
and
You the prize. You the prize.
but yeah, no, 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 no. I don't subscribe to that. The woman is always surprised, but yeah, it's you have to. What we're trying to say is that you guys have to maintain focus, not only as it relates to your business, your goals, what you're doing, but the people who are also helping you along your journey as well, right? Don't forget
Yeah.
about them as well.
Yeah. That is. I'm. I'm so glad you said that, Gino. I know it's not like something that you wrote down or anything, but that was that for me. And I've told you this. I think that that is one of the most powerful aspects of our partnership is
Mhm.
that I don't have to be concerned
Mhm.
about like I'll not have to be concerned, but I am not thinking about, oh, Gino is running the street. Gino is out here doing all this. No, if Gino ain't in my bed, he is in his office
And I
and
prefer to be in
he's
my office, to be honest. I'm not gonna lie.
he's working on our dream and he's building that and he's not stopping. And I know even we don't argue about women, but like even if we have an argument, most 90% of our arguments are related to business. And if we have an argument about something in the business, I know I cannot focus. Like I want to resolve it. I want to make sure we're clear, we're on the same page, we're moving in the same direction. Let's keep
Not
it
me.
punching.
I'm crystal clear. That's when I do my best work. Crystal clear.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's Gino is fueled by arguments like that. But but I said all that to say that I could not imagine a situation where
Mhm.
that was like something that we're dealing with so much already
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
running a business. It is so much nonsense that you have to deal with day in and day out. You're going to get emails, you're going to get phone calls. It's just so much bullshit that you're dealing with on a consistent basis. Having to worry about your personal relationships is the
Correct.
last thing you need.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so even if you are not an entrepreneur in partnership with your partner like we are, like if you have someone that is chasing a dream, like be supportive of that. And
Yeah.
if you are chasing that dream and ensure that you are creating an environment where your partner can be supportive of that, where the people closest to you can be supportive of that, because if you don't have that focus at home, it is very difficult to
Correct.
execute
Yep.
consistently at a high level if you are dealing with drama and nonsense at home. And I definitely believe that that is one of the benefits of our relationship has been that like we don't de- we're
We're on the
not
same
we don't
page.
deal with that.
Right.
Yeah, we're
Same
on the
page.
same page
Same
in that
thing.
regard. And I'm
Yeah.
very grateful for that. And I pray to God that that remains the same
Right.
into the future. So the first is maintaining focus. The second thing to understand when managing success is not just that different opportunities are going to come your way, positive opportunities that you will want to act on, like opportunities that going to make you money, but you have to say no to. This year alone, I have turned
Yeah.
down a lot
So
of money. I have turned away a lot of projects. And every time I turn it away, I go to Gino, I'm like, I need you to look me in the eye and tell me that we're doing the right thing here. But we're turning away certain things to go after bigger things.
Right.
because yes, we're experiencing success and more opportunities are coming our way, but what you say no to is as important or more important than what you say yes to. And so learning to say no, even when there's a ton of money on the table, being okay walking away, not only do people respect you more, but like you just set yourself up better for the long term. So
Right.
like maintain your focus. The second, Gino, is understanding that distractions will come when you're going when you're when you start to achieve success. You will be distracted, you will have distractions. And if we can get personal for a minute here, you do know that, when we did start seeing some success, even in Anguilla, it was always something. It was always some political nonsense, and it was always a WhatsApp going around. It was not, and that was very difficult for me. I was very emotional, and it was in the early stages when it was happening earlier up. We don't experience that, no, but when it was
Right.
happening earlier up, those distractions. um I was younger then. I was like 27, 28, and
Mhm.
uh, I it was a lot to deal with. You're
Well,
smiling.
what I would say is it's easy to say, this or that if you're not in it. It's completely different when you're in it and you're going through the motions.
Mhm,
But if I could say, like, one of the things that have helped me manage distractions again, and maybe let's say you don't have a partner, but most
mhm,
people have somebody in their lives that they
mhm,
can talk, right? Who they can talk to. And I
mhm,
think for me, it's having a voice of reason in your life that you can go say, because you know there are a lot of things that I wanted us to build, and the first person I'd go to with anything is you, obviously. And I would
right.
ask you, hey, does this make sense? Like, do you think
Mhm,
this is worth the time, I
mhm,
or the investment,
mhm,
building out this product?
mhm,
And so I'd say you gotta have and that's not very extreme, right? Like, you that's a very simple way to, like, manage a distraction, right? Like,
mhm,
if you can't handle it in the moment, or, like, ignore it, like, if it's something
mhm,
that you have to deal with in a moment, like, you should. But if you can ignore it, if it's not worth the effort or the time, the energy, you should just ignore it, right? Ignoring really
yeah.
works. And beyond ignoring a situation, you and this method is a bit extreme for us. What we did
Mhm,
is just leave, because it's hard. Like, we left Anguilla, because we felt like we had outgrown it a bit, you know, and
mhm,
not to be arrogant or anything with it. We just felt like, well, me personally, I felt like, okay, I think I've done enough here. It's time for me to go out. I want to be a extremely small fish in a bigger pond. I want to use
mhm,
whatever it is I have learned over these next years to then, bring back home to make some impact.
right.
You know what? But that's an extreme case, and what it is completely removing yourself from the situation or the environment, or wherever the origin of the distractions. And for us, it was kind of like, well, for me personally, I can't speak for you, but it was Anguilla,
Mhm,
right? So you remove yourself from the situation, and now
mhm,
you have, like, this. When you're looking at a map, you're not looking at a map like this, right? This is the paper. You're not looking at it like
mhm,
this, right? You're looking at it from the top down.
right.
And what I learned was that once you remove yourself from the situation, now you can think, and you can see things that you never saw before, and that helps a lot. Just
Yeah.
just to be able to step back and look at it from a different angle.
Yeah, I agree, because I mean Anguilla is home, and we say it where we and anywhere we go we from Anguilla, but
Yep.
it's also understanding that to sometimes to grow, or to to give more, you have to step
Yeah.
away
Correct.
to to succeed. Back to the idea of, hey, managing success. When you do experience success, your environment could very well become a distraction to your
Correct.
long-term success. And
Right.
so stepping away from the environment, for me, it was never like, oh, you know, um, 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 for me, it's not that we're bigger than Anguilla ever. Like Anguilla is home. It's that's my dream. Like that's in my affirmation every single day. Is I want to see my community
Thoughtful
and
HQ,
the
right? The
people in
digital
my. What'd you
capital,
say?
the thoughtful HQ, the
Right. Yeah.
digital,
And I want to see the people in my community. I want to be a part of the development of my community, as so many people are also working on that. I'll never be that person who goes away from home and doesn't come back. All the work we're doing is for our region, right? We're not
right?
here trying to build
True.
America. We're trying to build our region.
Yeah,
But it's also understanding that to to grow our region, we have to grow our minds. And what
yep,
we're around can be a distraction if it is that it does not expose us to what it is we need to see
right,
and know to positively contribute. And so you leave. And you leave to come back, but you leave. And I think that that is the same for us. It was an extreme case, obviously, in leaving our home community, but for some people it may be leaving a relationship,
right,
it may be leaving a job, it may be having a completely different course shift. It's any adjustment to ensure that that distraction does not move you further away from your dreams. and
right.
and I think that that's why I really leaned into that analogy before, because there is an emotional toll that distractions can take on you.
Yeah,
There is a mental and emotional toll that the distractions that come with success can take on you. And if you do not build a wall of, not to block people out, but a wall of resistance around your mind and around your heart and around your emotions, then distractions will take you out.
right,
Whether it's too many opportunities that are just not in line with where you're trying to go, whether it's people who are maybe providing, putting you down a negative path, or putting you under pressure to go down a negative path, or if it's whatever nonsense that you would experience on a day to day. Like, you have to really manage distractions and manage your
right.
response to
And
them.
like I would say, if you're starting out and you're new to the world of business,
Mhm.
um, you may not know it's a distraction until it's too late. I mean, you can kind of tell
Yeah.
it's obvious in the early stages, like the
Mhm.
going out, the eating out, and
Right.
anything that doesn't align with productivity or moving the
Yeah.
business forward is a distraction. If it's a
Right.
bad thing, if it doesn't move you forward,
Or
it's a
or
bad
moving
thing.
your dream
That
forward.
right, right, right.
Mhm.
And and uh, and then the higher you climb, the distractions start to look a lot different, right? In our case,
Yeah.
it would be what projects to take, right? Oh, this
You're
this
right.
is an attractive offer, but oh, this is a time that we have to give up, right? These are the
Right.
resources that we have to allocate to this project. So I think it's being extremely mindful of the distractions, and it's just like the easiest thing to do, make a pros and cons list. Like, how does this move me
Yeah.
forward? Like, some are quite obvious, and then others you really got to sit back and think
Yeah.
about it.
They're not obvious. And that's why
Yeah,
knowing what it is you're working towards, and having that. Some people make jokes about affirmations, but for me, the biggest value of my affirmations is that I'm hearing myself every single day telling myself what it
right,
is I am promising myself, and what it is I'm going to be doing for myself and for my family and for my community. And so hearing that keeps my dreams front and center. It keeps its top of mind awareness, and that top of mind awareness, it keeps you alert, so when a distraction does pop up, you can look at it like, oh, thanks but no thanks.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, no, I'm good.
That's the discernment we
So
pray
yeah.
for, right?
And that's the discernment. And the final bit on managing early success, we spoke about the fact that you have to maintain focus. We spoke about the fact that distractions will pop up, and you have to fortify yourself against those distractions, build your emotional and mental toughness so that you
Right.
can address them and not necessarily succumb to the pressure. The final bit is, in managing success, you have to prepare yourself for continued success.
Correct.
And nobody talks about this that often. I
Yep.
have very seldom heard people talk about this, but it is something that we've spoken about in recent times.
Yep.
And yeah. So what we said was that when you start to see success, when you start to achieve success, you're on level 1, you go to level 2. The only way for you to stay on level 2, I'm sorry, the only way for you to get to higher levels is to set your mark towards higher levels and to condition yourself, prepare yourself to grow to higher levels. And so a mistake that even we have made and that people often make is that once they experience success, they just get they just get comfortable. They just get good. All right, all set. But the reality is that you have to you have to be putting in the work. You have to be um, taking the action to consistently move yourself to the next level. Because if you don't do that, then life is actually going to kick you back down a level. So once you
Correct.
get to a new level, you have only two options. You're not going to just stay on that level. You cannot just stay on that level because eventually the requirements for that level are going to change. And so your
Yeah.
option is to be demoted or to be promoted to a new level, to go back to where
Correct.
you were or to grow. And
Right.
so the whole
And
big
we
go ahead.
we're big gamers, right? We're big gamers. We
Yeah.
game on Sundays, Call of Duty. We focus on one game now just
World
because,
of War, Raspuch at me.
yeah. Just because, we don't have the time to sit through and play games now.
I
But
said World of War, Warzone, sorry.
Warzone, right? Think about it as like, I know I mean, we play GTA. If you know what GTA is, you know that if you're preparing for a heist or for a mission, you gotta stack up on
Heist.
ammo. You gotta get your supplies together. You probably gotta put armor in your car. It's a lot that you have to do to prepare, right? And then you pass the mission, and guess what? Okay, you make all this money, right? Now you're on a different level, right? You're on a different level, and so now these resources allow you to then skyrocket to the next level. It's the same like in
Mhm.
business and in life. When you reach, because we've had conversations about, where we felt, okay, have we plateaued? Like, what's happening?
Yeah.
And you just have to know, okay, when you get to this level, you can't be doing the exact same things. All right, so we're on level 2, like you said. How do we get to level 3? What does this mean? We have to shift our mindset. Now we have to network with even more people. We have to maintain that focus. We have to be extremely, even more specific on what it is that we want to take us to the next level. I always think about the what it took, like Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates,
Mhm.
and even I can't remember his name, it's right there, but the CEO of Nvidia, like what
Mhm.
it took to just always just improve. Okay, this is the level I'm on. All right, next year this is the next level, to
Right.
keep climbing. And what you don't want to do is you don't want to get stuck in where you are now, right? You got to be patient. I know sometimes it feels like, okay, you're not moving fast enough, but all right, I'm on level 1. Actually, you start on level 0, but to get to level 1,
Right.
level 2, level 3, I can't repeat the same behavior. My behavior has to change, my attitude
Mhm.
has to change, my perspective on life, my experiences, everything has to change.
Yeah. What's interesting is the first bit of success you have. We spoke about that. It is
Yeah,
intoxicating. When you
yeah,
start to see success,
yeah.
it feels great. And it feels great because it's like your hypothesis has proven correct.
Correct. To be correct.
I bet
Yep.
on myself. I chased my dream. And look, I'm starting to win. The challenge is that to really win the ultimate game and to win the biggest dream, your actual dream, you are to grow, you're actually going to have to put yourself back
Yeah.
into a position of discomfort.
Correct.
So when you actually achieve success, the
The
only
cycle
way to get to
continues.
the next
Yep.
level is to actually be a beginner again.
Yep.
And I think that is one of the most, but we spoke about the ego, that is one of the
Hmm.
most difficult aspects of this whole success thing and chasing your dreams and dreaming in color and all this story is that once you hit one milestone, the only way to hit the other milestone is to start over. Is to
Yep.
go back to being a beginner, is going back to looking like a fool, is going back to learning. And that is one of the most difficult parts, especially if you have that ego complex, if you have that coming with it where you don't want to be a beginner, you don't want to look like a fool again. You, excuse me, you have more to lose now, you know? And you referenced the fact that we shifted to LA. Everything in LA is different and certainly more expensive, right? Life
Yeah.
in LA is completely different. And being here has put us in a position to where we are in many respects beginners again. We have to build new networks. We have to build new
Yep.
opportunities. And
Right.
it's very easy when you experience that first bit of success to ride on that and think that you're going to ride on that into the future, but you won't. You can't, because if you're not constantly evolving and leveling up, then the next person is just
And
going to
and
come
and
in and take your spot.
that's the comfort we spoke about earlier, where they fatten up, they massage the cows before they slaughter them. It's the exact same thing. Like I can tell you, like when me personally, like let's say we've just wrapped up, we've launched a tech project,
Mhm.
and that high you feel when it's completed is good, the
Yeah.
client is happy, you're stuck there, and to some point you're stuck there to the detriment of the other stuff that you still have to do,
Yeah.
because you just won, you love that, but no, you become
Yeah.
unproductive. So you have to be mindful of that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think what we had to learn was that, hey, don't get so intoxicated by your success that you just get stuck in that. You just get
Yep.
paralyzed in that moment, and
Paralyzed.
and that paralysis turns into a plateau. And that
Correct.
plateau turns into you getting knocked back down to where you started because you got too comfortable.
Yeah.
And that is for me the most complex aspect of managing success, is being prepared for the reality that when you are chasing your dreams, you can't fall in love with the actual dream itself.
Mhm.
What you should be falling in love with is the journey to the dream. And saying it,
Right.
it sounds ridiculously cliche, but I promise you, once you experience that first bit of success and you realize you got to go back to being a beginner again, and you got to learn again, and for this new level you got to meet new people, and you got to network again, and you got to go through the whole process again, and you have to be small again.
Hmm.
That is one of the more challenging parts. The fact that you felt so big in achieving your dream, and now you have to be small again. Once you are okay with that, nothing can stop you. Once you are in love with that process, nothing can stop you. But if the
Correct.
end result, if you just want to finish, if you just want to get to the end and be done, then you're probably going to experience some challenges because there is no finish. The dream that you're chasing, um it will require you to consistently evolve, to consistently grow in order to maintain it. And if you do it right, and if you're okay with that, if you give up the ego, then it's such a beautiful life to live.
Right.
um
Yeah, that's
but
such
if you
a
don't.
powerful point, babes, because I saw something that Elon said the other day where he said, okay, good, you love business, you're the CEO of a business, but
Mhm,
you have teammates, or we call them teammates, but he said employees. You have employees,
mhm,
you have people that manage things. They don't have a complete picture of the organization of like what's happening, right? And as the CEO, like you're just looking down at everything, the problems, you see everything, you're aware of everything. And he said the only thing that keeps him moving is the fact that he has passion for this, that he wants to do this. Like this is
Mhm.
he would wake up every day and do this, and that's what keeps him moving. So I think it's really important to, because I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you, when you told me that the first time, fall in love with the journey. I was like, what the beep are you talking about? Fall in love with what journey? And I was like, yeah,
Mhm.
okay. And you were like, oh, well, you love code. So then, all right, like, what does this look like? Where do you see your life in code a few years from now? And
Mhm.
so I think I definitely got it then when you put it that way. And it's
Mhm.
I mean, um, time is the ultimate, like time tells, right?
Yeah.
It's if you
Time is the equalizer.
correct, that's it. I couldn't remember. Time is the equalizer. Like you'll know. And people who, if you're not passionate about it, then it won't work. So it's extremely important that you find out what it is. You figure out from the onset what it is you're passionate about, and you just go for it. And that helps a lot. More than the ego, more than what people say, more
Mhm.
than that goal. Once you love it and you extremely love it, and you don't think about it as just like a job or anything, it works,
Yeah.
right? It
But
can work, let's say, but it
yeah,
all depends
it
on
it
you.
will work. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you treat it like the journey that it is, and we use a video game analogy, the reality that when you are playing, you saw me playing the new Call of Duty, and you saw me playing a mission there about 47 times in a night, right? Just trying to beat that one mission. But the first missions in the game were easy. But the more
Yeah,
you progress, the higher the level you get to, the more that is required of you. And so you have to really be comfortable with this idea that you have to evolve, because who we are today, you and I, it's not who we were 2 years ago. How
definitely
we
not.
deal with clients today is not how we dealt with clients 2 years ago. How we deal with teammates today is not how we
How
dealt
we
with
deal with each
teammates
other.
a year
Yeah,
ago. You know,
yeah,
we have had to evolve to actually grow ourselves and our business. And so long as you and grow our dream. And so long as you
right.
are comfortable with that, so long as you are not tied to the ego and preserving this image of you, and so long as you are obsessed with just improvement and development and the journey, then you will not only dream in color, but you will live in color. You will live the most amazing version of life, because you would be focused on what matters the most, which is the journey,
Right.
and the impact, and the breaking outside of the box, and demonstrating to the next generation, which we spoke about at the beginning, demonstrating to the next generation that, hey, like you
This
too
is
can,
possible. You too can do this,
yeah, this
right?
is possible. You too can do this. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's episode one in the books.
That's episode one. Love
That's
it.
episode one. Thank you guys for tuning in to our Dreaming in Color podcast. Again, I'm your host, Tahira Banks Webster, and you are, what's your name?
What's my name? Babes.
Babes.
No, just kidding. I'm Gino Webster. Thank you guys.
Yeah,
In.
thank you. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you in next week's episode. Bless.
All right.